The NFL offseason is in full swing, and what better time to release a top 10 quarterback rankings videos during the bit of a dead period of the NFL between the Super Bowl and the Combine. And this could really be a series of videos because we could really do this across multiple positions if you guys enjoy these videos and the feedback is for the most part positive. But in today's video, we are going to be discussing the top 10 quarterbacks ranked 10 through 6, and the reason for this is I like to be able to go pretty in depth with each of the quarterbacks, and we will discuss why each player is ranked where they are, who potentially ranks above them, though you can more than likely figure it out, and everything in between. This is current quarterback rankings, so Tom Brady will not be in today's video, and neither will Big Ben, given they both retired, and I'll kind of leave it at that, though I don't think anyone would have expected Ben to make the cut anyways. So without further ado, let's begin. Inevitably, a rankings list will always be controversial because there will always be disagreements, and I'm sure the start of this video will be to people as well, because we're beginning with Kirk Cousins. Kirk, like every quarterback on this list, and like every other player in the NFL for that matter, have their flaws, some more glaring than others. With Kirk, you'll see him go toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers in a game with the Vikings season very much on the line and come out victorious, and then the next week lay an absolute dud of a performance against a team led by Cooper Rush and the Cowboys. It's a roller coaster a lot of the times with Kirk, but without question there is a lot more up on that said roller coaster than down. 68 passing touchdowns to just 20 interceptions over the past 2 years shows that, and for comparison, Justin Herbert has 69 passing touchdowns to 25 interceptions, yet the perception around the two, and understandably so might I add, are drastically different. And for what it's worth, Herbert has one more touchdown pass than Kirk over those 2 years on 184 more passing attempts. Now, Kirk will always catch shit for his contract situation, and at this very specific point in time, there's really no defending Kirk because he is in a perfect position to lessen the team's cap and take a pay cut by extending his contract to help increase the team's chances of winning a Super Bowl, yet Kirk has refused to do so. With the Vikings' Twitter and division within the fan base, you'll have some fans sit back and say, well, we should extend him because he has been good, and there's not many quarterbacks you can get that are better, as, let's face it, Kirk is a good quarterback. Maybe not Aaron Rodgers' alien-level 4-time NFL MVP, but he is a good quarterback. And if you say he's bad, then within that statement, who else are you saying is bad that Kirk consistently outproduces? Now, the jury is out whether or not the Vikings will win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins, as they probably won't, let's be honest, but they should have made the playoffs last year with Cousins, but they routinely blew leads, which a lot of that is, believe it or not, on coaching and not Kirk Cousins, but more often than not, Kirk came to play at a very good level, and he currently ranks 10th for the NFL quarterback rankings. Now, this is where a lot of the debate starts, really between the 5 through 9 rankings, but at 9 we have Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. First things first, it was an incredible comeback for him from the injury he had in 2020. I'm not showing it, we've all seen it, we don't need to see that again. But Dak threw for a franchise record 37 touchdown passes to just 10 interceptions. And one thing I greatly worry about for Dak is, and I'm going to thoroughly explain this, but the inability to win big games. Not because he can't do it or he's not good enough, but I really do think his head coach limits what he and the team can do. And being the 9th best quarterback is nothing to sneeze at, by the way, but when you look at Dak's 2021 numbers, you have 16 of the 37 touchdowns in blowout wins, and in wins that were against teams that, simply put, weren't very good. And in the Panthers, which was a blowout win, the final score was 36-28. That was not indicative of how that game was played. The then Washington football team, in which they were thoroughly embarrassed on primetime TV and gave up 56 points, the backup Eagles in Week 18, and the Eagles on Monday night early in the year. Those 37 touchdowns did not come in a game where they needed it most, on the road in Kansas City, in which Dak helped lead his team to just 9 points, in which he threw 0 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Again, Dak is a great quarterback, but he, like Kirk, seems to always have, just for lack of a better word, things not go his way when they need it most. And point proven, the Cowboys' signature win this year was a win over a Patriots team led by a rookie quarterback who proceeded to lose by 30 points in the playoffs. I do think without a doubt Dak has the potential and the ability to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback and to truly be one of the premier top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the NFL on a consensus basis, but Mike McCarthy will not be the one to maximize his success. I really look forward to seeing how he does this year and where he will rank 1 year from now. Getting even more into the thick of the quarterback rankings, and I want something to be clear. I am fine with quarterbacks 5 through 9 being interchangeable for the most part, and number 8 for today's video also wears number 8, and it is Lamar Jackson. We often hear the term unicorn discussed with players like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen because their insane ability to throw from any and every arm angle and make throws off platform that you just simply cannot teach. You either have it or you don't. And Lamar is like that in a lot of ways as well, and it is a unicorn in his own rights. And what really irritates me when people criticize Lamar isn't that they criticize him, let's get that clear. It's the very both lazy and poor take that Lamar can't throw and just general bullshit along these lines. In what could be argued as the best game of Lamar's career, the Ravens came back against the Colts despite being down 22-3 at a point and looking very much lifeless. And in that game, Lamar went an outstanding, and that's even downplaying his performance, but 37 for 43 with 442 yards and 4 touchdowns. Conversely, Lamar also had a few pretty bad games this year, and one of them, despite getting a win, was against the Browns where he averaged just 5.1 yards per attempt, threw just 165 yards and had 4 interceptions. That could also be viewed as the worst game of his career. And one narrative surrounding Lamar that is pretty obnoxious is the take that he's eventually going to get hurt running and he should become a pocket passer or whatever, right? But this dude is the same size as a prime Adrian Peterson and can throw the ball a country mile. Lamar is truly one of the best quarterbacks we have in the NFL, and the Ravens and Lamar too for that matter are entering 2022 as pretty big underdogs considering what happened within their division this year. I strongly look for the Ravens to be fully back and competing for a Super Bowl, as long as half of their roster does not end up on IR and we have healthy and viable weapons for Lamar and the gang to succeed. Next is Russell Wilson, and Russ is a player you see a lot of volatility with when discussing quarterback rankings. Some think Russ is a top 4 player, while others think he is borderline top 10, and we have met 7 in today's video. I do think Russ is in a situation similar to Dak Prescott, where he is in some ways limited by his coaching staff and with what they have going on in Seattle. With Russ, DK, and Tyler Lockett, there is absolutely zero reason why Russ is as talented as he is, shouldn't be throwing for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns every year, and he has thrown for 30 touchdowns in every year since 2015 minus 2016 and this past year, which of course he missed some time. Russell is a very talented player, and I don't want to toss the word unicorn around, and I generally want to save that for a very, very select few players. And while I don't think Russ is in the unicorn conversation, he is a good enough quarterback to win a Super Bowl and just needs some pieces around him, outside of DK and Lockett. And yes, I know the Seahawks won one in 2013 with Russ, but we are at a much, much different time period now than we were back then. I would be very interested to see what he could do with one of the offensive-minded coaches, the innovators where they are often referred to as, to see what they could do statistically, all 3 included Russ, DK, and Tyler. There are bound to be rumors that he'll be moved this offseason, and I really can't wait to see what Russ has in store for us moving forward, but ultimately for today's video, he comes in at number 7. Number 6 is a man we saw play on Super Bowl Sunday, and it's Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. From the number 5 draft pick, which is what the Bengals had this past year, to the Super Bowl in one offseason, and from what we expected to be a good sophomore year to an elite comeback player of the year award winning one, it was quite the year for Joe. Time and time again he was tested, and time again he answered. And yes, even Joe has his flaws, but one thing is for sure with him that you don't have to worry about with other quarterbacks. He performs on the biggest stage, and there is no doubt about it. And I don't mean this in the sense of he's top 6 because of the Bengals making it to the Super Bowl, but when the pressure is on and you need it most, Joe comes through, and we saw that in both the AFC divisional round of the playoffs and the AFC championship game. And I don't think quarterback wins are this end-all be-all stat by any means, because Matt Stafford, even in his dog days in Detroit, was often discussed in the top 10 conversations, but I do think for someone like Burrow, who shines when the lights are brightest, that obviously helps his case. And the play that Aaron Donald wrecked at the end of the Super Bowl, credit to Aaron Donald, one of the best defensive players of all time. If Burrow's offensive line even gives him a fraction of a second longer, we're probably talking about the Bengals winning their first Super Bowl in franchise history. And another reason I have Joe at 6 for today was how he finished the year, as back in week 2 he threw 3 picks against the Bears, and of all teams the Bears, right? And the Bengals lost. And at the time, Joe was still coming off of a torn ACL injury and was most definitely readjusting to what he could do. But in the final 7 games of the regular season he played, Burrow had an incredible 73% completion percentage, as well as numbers that would put him on pace for a 5,000-yard 34 touchdown season. I do think the best is yet to come for Burrow, as he had an already impressive season in 2021, but there's one thing he did not get, and he and Jamar and the gang will be doing everything they can to achieve that in 2022. For today's video though, Joe comes in at number 6. And with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Quarterbacks 5 through 1 will be in a video tomorrow, so until then, please be safe. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think about the rankings so far, what the potential rankings for tomorrow's video are, and until then, be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.